Hello everyone, today I'm going to do the 18th video of my web development practical video series. Today I'm going to discuss the question 18 of my question list. Let's go to our question list. Here you can see under day 3, here's the question 4. This question is also the 18th question, the row. As usual, I'm going to read the question first, and after that we can discuss my code. Okay, here's the question. We need to make arrangements to log in to the system using the web page and database discussed in the previous question. Okay, I think it's better you watch the previous video if you already didn't watch that video yet. Because now today we are continuing a question started from the previous question we talked about. Okay, here is the reference image they gave us, and after that create a PHP program for the user login function. Okay, uh, if you can remember, we program this user registration part in this page, and today we have to program the login part of this web page. Here are the requirements we have to cover when we are creating that login part. In this case, every field should be validated using a suitable format. Okay, if you have provided the correct information when you click on the login button, you should be redirected to the main page of the website. Okay, furthermore, information about the person logged into the website should be available on every page of the website. Okay, you can see we have to combine the sessions in order to do this part. The user's email should be displayed on the main page. Okay, once the user has successfully logged into the website, they should be prevented from being redirected back to the login page. Use a more secure method of changing relevant data to the server side. Exchanging relevant data to the server side. Okay, now I'm going to show you my design, and let's test that design, and after that we can discuss our code. Okay, here you can see this is the same page I created in the previous question, but you can remember we only created this registration part, but in this case both registration and the login page are working together. To test this one, I'm going to register a user, but before that you can see in the question every field should be validated using suitable format. Okay, now I'm going to click on the add user button without entering any data, and let's see what happened after that. Here you can see the error. You need to fill both fields. Okay, that means if we left any field behind, it will check whether these fields are filled or not, and it will show an error if there's not. You can see I complete, or I fill the first input field, and let's see whether the data will be submitted or not. You can see again the same error. You need to fill both fields. Okay, now let's check the login part. Here you can see again I click on the login button without clicking on without filling these two input fields. The same error pop up, and let me fill this field, and let's click on the login button again. You can see again the same error pop up. That means both login and registration fields are validated. Also the password field work as the same. You can see when I filled the password field without filling the email address, it will show the same error. Okay, now I'm going to register a new user, and after that we can log in with that user. Okay, let's log in with a new account. Okay, this is the email and this is the password. Now I'm going to add this user. When the data is correct, it will register this user as a new user, and we should be able to log into the home page with these credentials. Let me copy the email address and I entered the password as 123. Here I show you 1234. Here is the password. Now I'm going to add this user. You can see new user successfully registered. Let me show you my database and let's see whether our data is recorded or not. Here this is the database I created, and this is the user table, and these are the two email and password attributes. Let me refresh this one. You can see new user added. Here is our new user, and now let's try to add the details we entered and log into the account. You can see here is the password. Let me change this password. I'm going to write the email correct, but I'm going to add the wrong password. Okay, let's try to log in with this wrong credentials. You can see no such user. That's an again that's an error message. It will check whether these details are correct or not. When the details are not correct, it will show an error message. Now let's enter the real credentials. You can see 1234 is the password, and also this is the email address. Let me show you the database. Here you can see the password and the email, and after that I'm going to log in with this user. You can see login complete, redirecting to home page. Now here is the home page. Don't mind the design, we just need to show the details. You can see hello, this is the account, and I showed her his or her email address in the home page. This is a dynamic line. It will show the email related to the user, and you can see in the question. Let me show you again the question. Okay, here let's go back to the question. Okay, here in the question you can see I showed you this part. The fields are validated, and if you have provided the correct information, when you click on the login button, you should be redirected to the main page. Okay, you saw that part 2, and after that, furthermore, informations about the person logged into the website should be available on every page. And here, the user's email should be displayed on the main page. You can see in the main page, the email is showing here. And once the user has successfully logged into the website, they should be prevented from being redirected back to the login page. Okay, that's an error. Let's see. When I go back, it will whether my website allow me to see the login page. You can see I already logged in. Let me show you my we have to add the sessions in order to log in a user. Let me show you I'll explain this part. You can see in my cookies there's a cookie called PHP says ID. That's the ID that will help the server to access my details when I'm logged in. You can see that that cookie is stored in my computer, my browser, and let me go back to the site. You can see I can't go back to the login page. When I'm go to the login page, it will automatically redirect me to the home page. Let me clear this cookie called PHP says ID. I'm going to remove this whole localhost folder. Okay, I removed you can see there's no cookie here. Now I'm going to go back. You can see when I click on this button, I can go into the login page as usual. When I logged in with the uh, correct credentials, it will not allow me to go back to the login page because I already logged in. Okay, that's how that part works. Now I explain this part also. This one. Now I'm going to show you my code. Here, this is not the code. Let me go to the here question 4 in day 3, and here's the index page. This is the index page I created. You can see on the top of this file there's a code line called the session start. This is the session I'm talking about when we use this method when we are logging a user. I will explain it later. You can see this is a very simple HTML page. You can see the registration part and also the login part. In the previous video, I discussed about the registration part. So I am not going to discuss that registration part in this video. I am going to focus on the login part here. If you want to know more about the registration part, you can see the previous video. Okay, now let's go to our login page. But before that, I like to highlight something. You can see in the login button and also in the add user button, there's a attribute called onClick. That attribute will execute the function, the JavaScript function we gave that attribute when someone click on this button. That's the onClick attribute do, and here is the function which will execute when someone click on the add user button in registration part, and here when someone click on the login button, it will execute the JavaScript function called login. Okay. Let me go to the JavaScript file. Here we are in the JavaScript file, and here's the add user function. I talk about this function and I explained a lot about this function in my previous video. So we are not going to discuss that function today. Here I am going to discuss the login function button. Let me go to the process.php file. Here we are in the process.php file. If you watch the previous video, you know what this file is. And here is the part, the code line which are responsible to insert or register a user in my website. Here you can see the insert query. It will validate the codes within these lines. You can see it will check whether the email and the password values are entered by the user, and if those values are not entered, you can see it will check whether the values are empty or not, and with even one of these values are empty, it will execute this error code and it will not register that user. And if both values are inserted, and it will check whether these values are already in the database, and if the values already there, it will execute this error code, and if those values are not already registered with my system, it will insert those values into this system. Okay, that's the process which will execute when someone click on this. Let me go. Click on this add user button. Let's go back here. If someone click on the login button, and it after that, you can see this error, this code line will execute with the function when the function execute, and here you can see I created two separate variables to store the email and the password values in these login area. You can see email and password, and I extract those values using, let me go back, using the element. You can see I assign to a variable, JavaScript variable, I assign the whole input element, the HTML element. Let me show you. Here you can see I gave separate IDs to these two input fields, the email field and the password field, and I use that ID to assign those elements to new variables, and after that I can access this element by calling the variable name. You can see I call that variable name and extract the values. Here dot values means it will extract the values out from the input field and store or assign those values to new separate two variables. Not this one here. It will assign to these those values to these two variables, and after that here you can see I created the form object and I append those two values to that form object. There's another new value called key, and here the value combined to that key is LO. LO means login. Here there's another key, and it is AU. AU means new user. Okay, so these three values will be these three values can be accessed with the with this variable called form, because I append those value to a form object and assign that whole object to this variable. And after that here I created the Ajax object. I talk about this Ajax object a lot. In a nutshell, we usually use this Ajax object to send details to a separate file in the server to process, but it will not going to reload the user's current page. So it will be more user friendly than the default way of form submitting. Okay, that's the reason why I use the Ajax object, and you can see let me explain these code lines starting from code 48 to 60. I will skip those lines, and I will explain after we explain the process.php file. Here you can see in line 61, here you can see R means our Ajax object, and you can see I created a variable called R and assigned the Ajax object to that R variable. So that's now we can call that Ajax object or manipulate that Ajax object using this variable name. And you can see I added for open method to our Ajax object. Here you can see in that open method, here is the method I want to transfer this data. I am transferring this data using the post method, and here is the destination. Process.php file is the file we want to send this data. And after that here you can see true means we are using the Ajax method. If you use the false method, false keyword, it will send this data in Sajax technology. There are two technologies called Ajax and Sajax, but in this case I'm not going to talk about the difference between those technologies in this video, but for now I'm using the Ajax method. Here you can see after that I again added another method called send, and when this line executed, the request will be sent to the process.php file in post method, and when the request is sending, it will take the form object and the details we append to that form object to this specific process.php file. You can see I append the form object to the sender request. let's go to the process.php file, and you can see when I'm not going to discuss more about this process.php file, because I discussed a lot about this file in my last video. But in this case, you can see in this there's an if else block, and in the first if, you can see it will check whether there will be a value or name called key, and it will come in post method, whether it will come in post method. And after that, again it will check the value which will combine to that name key is AU. If both of these conditions are met, it will execute this code line and only that code line. And if one of these conditions are not met, it will check this part of the code. It will check this else if part. You can see in that if condition, it will check whether there will be a key value called key, a name called key, which will come in post method, and the value combined to that key is equal to LO. You can see when we are submitting the form, I append a new value called new name called key, and its value is LO. So when this function executed, this condition will be met. So it will execute this part of the code, not this one. It will execute this one. If somehow if none of these conditions were not met, it will execute this else part. You can see it will execute this text called error. After that, you can here I'm going to discuss about this part of the code. I explained this part. This is the part which is responsible to for registering people. We talk about that part in previous video, and today I'm discussing about this part. Here you can see there's another if else block, and in the if condition it will check whether the name which will whether there's a name called SE, which will come in post method, and the value combined to that SE, it will check that value and see whether whether there's a value or not. If there's no value, it will execute this code line. It will not going to execute these parts. That means some of the value. Let me show you. In this login form, some fields are missing. It will execute only this part of the code. You can see it will check whether the email is there and password is there. One of these conditions are not met, it will execute this part. And you can see if these two fields are filled, it will execute this else part. So in the first part of the code, here you can see there's another new two variables called SE and SP, and it will store the email value and the password value separately. And after that, here you can see I created a select query to check whether these data stored in my database. You can see I append the SE and the SP values, which will come in the post method, and I check the email attribute and the password attribute in my database to see whether these details are already registered. And here in this line 37, I executed the query using the DBMS connection. DBMS connection means here you can see this is the connection to our database. Here is the database name. Okay, so it will check these two values inside our database, and it, I told you in my previous video, every time we execute a select query, it will output some value. We usually call that result set. So it will output that result set, and I created a new variable and assigned that result set to that variable. So it can be we can access that result set using by calling this variable name. Okay. Here after that I check the number of rows in that result set. I told you earlier in my previous video, when there's a result set, that result set always going to be stored in the table format. So when this code line executed, it will check the number of records. Let me show you the database. If this is the result set, it will check the count of the records, and here after that you can see I created another variable and append or assign that number to that variable, and it will check whether this number is equal to 1 in this if else block. If the SNOR, that's the number of rows in our result set, is equal to 1, that means a suitable email and password is already registered in our system. That means he is a valid user. So if it's equal to number 1, it will execute these 3 code lines. If it's not equal to 1, that means there's an error, or that user is not registered in our system. So it will execute this code line, no such user found. Okay. And you saw that error message earlier when I enter a false credential. When I'm logging to the system, it will output this part of the code. And when there's a user, you can see fetch as SRS. Fetch as of means SRS is the result set. You can see it will check. Sorry, it will get the result set. You can I told you it's in a table format, so it will rip out the first line or first record out from that result set and put the values in the attributes in an associative array. That's the purpose of the fetch as of function. So when there's only one record, it will extract the data out from that record and append those details into a associative array, and I stored that array in a new variable called sdata. Okay, you can see there's another this is the second line here, $_session user equal sdata. That means I access the session variable and I created a new session is another associative array. So I created a new array called user and append the sdata. Sdata means the associative array which contains the values of our result set, and I append those values into the session, and there's a variable called user, and I append that values to that variable. And after all this process is complete, it will output this text number 1 as the output from this process.php file, and this number 1 will send back to the client side. If it output any other error code, those error codes will also send back to the client side. Okay, that's the process in this file. You can I like to explain more about the session. When we created a session, it will show these details. In this case, the email and password. It will create a unique space to every user. If we use the session method, it will create a unique space to every user, and we can store their details in that session. That's what I did here. Uh, the users of my web application, every user will have a session space, and in that session space, when they log in, their details will be stored. In this case, email and password will be stored in that space. So when someone log into the system, he can access the we can access that session using the cookie we create when the here you can see I started this start session method. When this function start, new session will be created, and when some user log into our system, it will check. I showed you the, let me show you again. I show you this cookie. Here there's a cookie called php sys id, and here you can see it will generate a unique key to access our access the user's session space, and it will when someone log into the system, every page in every page after the login every page will check this session key and access his session space and get his details. So we can use this method to uniquely identify a login user. That's why I use this session method. And you can see in that session we stored his email and password. Now let's go back to our JavaScript file. Here you can see now I'm going to explain these parts starting from line 48 to 60. Here it will check the state. I told you about the state. I'm not going to talk about more in this video about the state of the Ajax object. The state 4 means the outputted data in process.php file. In this case, if the process is successful, it will output this number 1 value. If there's an error, it will output this error code. So those details are Ajax. The state of the Ajax object is equal to number 1 means those data, the output of the process.php file is sent back to the client side. So I check whether the state is equal to 4. In this you can see there's a if condition, and it will check the state is equal to 4. That means it will check whether the outputted data is come back to the client side, and after that it will execute this part when if the data is here. It will create a new variable and store the outputted text. You can see the response text means the outputted text from the process.php file, and it will assign that outputted text to a new variable, and after that it will check the values inside that variable, and if the value is equal to number 1, that means the process is completed. There's a user and a login process is complete, so it will show this alert login complete, redirecting to home page, and after that here you can see there's another function it will execute after that. Let me explain that function very quickly. Go to home means it will change the URL of the user to home.php file. That means that it will redirect the user to the home.php file, which is our home. You can see window.location equal home.php. That's the code which will run when we execute this go to home function. Okay, that function will execute. That means user will redirect to the home page. And if there's an error, that means the outputted text is not equal number 1, it will show the text. You can see in alert it will show the error message. That's the else part too. Okay, that's the whole process in this JavaScript file. And let me go back to the home.php file. Okay, here we are in the home.php file. This is a very simple design. You saw that design when I logged into that logged in with the logged in as a user, and here you can see on the top of this file I started the PHP script, and in that PHP script I started the session. Here session start means it will start to check the users cookie, the PHP sesID cookie, and it try to access the users session space and get the data. Here you can see the behavior of this session start is it will check whether the user have a session ID, and if there's an ID it will assign the or it will get access to the user's session space. And if there's no cookie called PHP sesID, that means he can't access the session space, or he is not a logged in user. And if the PHP sesID cannot be found, it will create a new space to that user, empty space, empty PHP session, empty PHP session, and it will generate a unique ID to that user and stored in the browser, the user's browser, as a cookie. Okay, that's the sessions function do, session method do, and after that it is checking. You can see session $_session user. It will checking in the user's session space whether there's a variable called user in that space. There's a space, it will execute this part of the code until the this else block. If he cannot find, if our website couldn't find a variable called user in the session space, that means he is not logged in, so it will execute this part of the code. You can see I connected my JavaScript file, and after that I in this JavaScript element here it will execute this alert. You have to log in or register first. Let me change this text. You have to log in or register first, and after that it will execute this code. Go to register, that's another function. Let me go back to the JavaScript file. Here you can see here's the go to home function, and here's the go to register function. Go to register means it will change or redirect the user to index.php file. That means this page, it will redirect the user to this page, and that's the process which will execute the user when there's a when the user is not logged into the system, and when he try to directly access this home page. Okay, so if there's a variable called user, that means he come through the login process, and after the login process it he will have a variable in his session called user. So if there's a variable called user, you can see I create it will execute this part, and I created a new variable on the top and assign that associative array to this user data. And after that, here's the same common HTML element set in our home page, and here's the welcome text. And after that, here you can see there's another important part in this h3 element. You can see I open a PHP script inside that element, and it will echo means it will print this data. You can see udata email. Udata email means you can see when someone logged in, it will create, sorry, when we storing the result set in the process.php file, it will store uh, these two details, email and password, inside the user variable or user associative array called user, and we can in this part I access that email, only that email, and I command to print that email. That's what happened here. That's what happened in the home.php file. And I think we come to the last part of this video. Let me explain this part. Here you can see we are in the index page, which is this page. It will check when someone requested this page or come to watch this page. It will check. You can see I again started the session process, and if there's a session and he has a associative array called user, it will execute this part of the code. That means if he has the associative array called user in his session, that means he is a logged in user. So he is not necessary to show the login page, this page to that user again. So it will only execute this part of the code. It will not going to show the PHP elements or the design to that user, the logged in user. It will connect with the JavaScript file, and after that it will execute this function, go to home. I explained the go to home function, that it will that function's purpose is changing or redirecting the user to the home page. So every time he comes with the session which have associative array called user, he will be redirected to the home page. And if there's no associative array in his session called user, that means he is not a logged in user. So this design, the login and the registration design, will be shown to that user to log into the system. So okay, that's the whole process in this question 4. Also the question 18. So I think that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Let's see you in the next video.